A name echoed through the Vatican's Sistine Chapel. A name millions had never heard before. But one that may come to define a new era of Catholicism. Pope Leo XIV. When the white smoke billowed from the chimney, signaling that a new pope had been elected, the world waited in suspense. And then came the announcement. Habemus Papam! We have a pope. But who is Pope Leo XIV? Where did he come from? What does he believe? And most importantly, how might he reshape the Church in a time of spiritual crisis, political polarization, and global uncertainty? Let's start from the beginning. Pope Leo XIV was born as Cardinal Giacomo Leone in a quiet Italian town, nestled among olive groves and vineyards. His upbringing was modest. His father was a schoolteacher. His mother, a nurse at a local clinic. They were devout Catholics but never wealthy. From a young age, Giacomo was fascinated by silence. Not the kind of silence that hides things, but the sacred silence that speaks volumes. At 14, he joined a local seminary. By 18, he was known for his deep intellect, quiet charisma, and passionate debates about theology and justice. Unlike many of his peers, Giacomo wasn't drawn to grandeur. He wanted answers. He wanted truth. He earned degrees in theology and philosophy from prestigious universities, including the Pontifical Gregorian University. But he didn't stay in ivory towers. Giacomo spent most of his early priesthood in the slums of Naples and Rome, feeding the poor, counseling drug addicts, sleeping in rundown housing projects to stay close to the people he served. This was no performative charity. He was one of them. When asked about why he lived this way, he once said, "You cannot speak of heaven to someone who is living through hell. First, you go into their hell with them." Giacomo Leone's rise through the ranks wasn't meteoric, but it was steady. He was appointed bishop in his early 40s, then archbishop, and eventually, cardinal. And with each new role, he brought an energy that was deeply spiritual, yet radically practical. He became a voice for the voiceless. But he also made some powerful enemies. He questioned church bureaucracy. He challenged outdated traditions. He embraced technology to reach the youth. And he wasn't afraid to say, "We've made mistakes." When the papal conclave was called, many assumed a well-known cardinal from Latin America or Africa would win. But something unexpected happened. Behind the closed doors of the Sistine Chapel, Cardinal Leone quietly gained momentum. His humility, his vision, his sense of spiritual urgency captivated the other cardinals. On the fifth ballot, he was elected. And he took the name Leo, after Pope Leo the Great and Pope Leo XIII, both known for their powerful teachings and reforms. But this Pope Leo is writing a new chapter. When he stepped onto the balcony, the world watched. His expression was calm, his hands folded. And his first words? "Before I bless you, will you first pray for me?" It was a powerful reversal. A call for unity. A reminder that even the Pope is not above prayer. And with that, Pope Leo XIV began his journey. In the days that followed, the world began to see just how different this Pope would be. He refused the bulletproof Pope Mobile. He asked that no luxury gifts be given to him. He directed Vatican departments to submit full transparency reports within 60 days. And he walked, yes, walked, across Rome to personally visit a homeless shelter. But beneath these powerful symbols was a deeper strategy. This wasn't about optics. This was about waking the Church up. The Catholic Church in the 21st century is facing massive challenges. Declining church attendance in Europe and the Americas. Ongoing abuse scandals. LGBTQ+ inclusion debates. Political entanglements. Climate responsibility. A growing disconnect with younger generations. And now, all eyes are on Pope Leo XIV. Will he modernize the Church? Will he preserve its ancient roots? Can he do both? A new pope always brings new energy. But Pope Leo XIV has done more than stir the air. He's unleashed a storm of transformation. His vision is bold. His actions are deliberate. And his message? The Church must change, or risk fading into irrelevance. Let's dive into the reforms Pope Leo XIV is pushing, and the tremors they're causing across the globe. For decades, the Vatican's finances have been murky. Allegations of corruption, misuse of funds, and lack of oversight have haunted the Church. Pope Leo XIV wasted no time. Within the first 30 days of his papacy, he ordered a full audit of every Vatican department. Not just by church officials, but by external, independent firms. He created a digital dashboard, accessible to bishops around the world, to track spending in real time. And he publicly released a simplified version of the Vatican's budget to the laity for the first time in history. Narrator firm. God does not need secrets, he said. But the poor need accountability. Traditionally, the Church speaks to the people. Pope Leo XIV believes it should also listen. He's launched a revolutionary program called the Synodal Year of Voices. What does that mean? It means for an entire year, the Vatican will host open forums where women, youth, LGBTQ+ Catholics, theologians, abuse survivors, and people of other faiths can share their experiences and hopes for the Church. And here's the game changer. All sessions are recorded, documented, and submitted for formal inclusion in policy discussions. No more hiding behind incense and Latin. The people are speaking, and the Pope is listening. For centuries, women in the Catholic Church have been the backbone, but rarely the brain trust. Pope Leo XIV is changing that. He appointed the first woman to head a Vatican department. He's opened new paths for women to become deacons. And he's exploring lay governance councils led by women at both diocesan and international levels. Some cardinals are furious. Others are inspired. But Leo XIV is unmoved. He believes the future Church must be both faithful and fair. Gen Z isn't showing up in pews. So Pope Leo XIV is showing up on their screens. He launched the Vatican Digital Ministry, aimed at creating modern, bite-sized content. Daily devotionals on Instagram. Confession Q&As on TikTok. Even interactive virtual rosary circles. He knows that if the Church wants to survive, it must evolve how it connects. The word is still sacred, but the medium? That can change. Following in the footsteps of Laudato Si', Pope Leo XIV is making climate justice a spiritual imperative. He declared that environmental destruction is a sin. And he established a Vatican-led carbon reduction program, inviting all parishes to participate. Solar panels on churches. Plastic bans at Catholic events. Tree planting missions tied to every sacrament. It's not just about theology, it's about survival. Creation is not ours to dominate, he says, but to defend. But let's be real, change doesn't come easy in a 2,000-year-old institution. Behind the scenes, there's pushback. Conservative cardinals claim the Pope is moving too fast. Some accuse him of diluting doctrine. Others whisper about heresy. Anonymous letters leak to Catholic media. Private meetings exclude reform-minded bishops. Power struggles are simmering. Some fear a schism. Others believe it's a necessary purification. The Pope's response? Prayer and patience. When asked about his critics, Pope Leo XIV doesn't lash out. He doesn't retaliate. He simply says, "The Church has always been a ship rocked by waves. I am not trying to calm the sea, I'm trying to keep the ship moving." He's not just rebranding the Church. He's redefining what it means to follow Christ in the modern world. But where will this all lead? From Rome to Rio, Manila to Montreal, the ripples of Pope Leo XIV's leadership are already being felt. But will those ripples become waves? Will the changes he's making last beyond his time as Pope? And what kind of legacy will he leave behind for future generations? Let's explore the global impact of Pope Leo XIV, and how he's forging a new chapter in the story of Catholicism. 1. A global church awakens. The Catholic Church is no longer centered in Europe. It is global. It is diverse. And Pope Leo XIV is one of the first popes to truly reflect that global soul. He speaks fluent Spanish, Italian, and French, and is learning Swahili. He's already visited war-torn regions in Africa, flood-ravaged villages in Southeast Asia, and impoverished towns in Latin America. Narrator. But these aren't photo ops. They're pilgrimages of solidarity. He doesn't arrive in armored cars, he walks among the people, listens to their stories, prays in their homes, and invites the world to see the Church's heart in their struggle. 2. A rebirth of trust. One of the Church's darkest wounds has been its failure to protect the vulnerable. Scandals involving abuse and decades of silence have left millions disillusioned. Pope Leo XIV has taken bold steps, dismissing powerful bishops, inviting survivors into Vatican meetings, and implementing a zero-tolerance policy with transparent reporting structures worldwide. He even established an independent tribunal to investigate clergy abuse, led not just by clergy, but by qualified lay professionals. Mercy does not mean avoidance of justice, he said. And the world heard him. 3. Interfaith dialogue reimagined. In an era of religious division and extremism, Pope Leo XIV is leaning into interfaith harmony. He launched a yearly summit called the Table of Abraham, where faith leaders meet, not to debate truth, but to build peace. He has prayed in mosques. He's washed the feet of refugees of all faiths. He even invited an atheist philosopher to address the Vatican on ethics. Narrator. This is not compromise, it's courage. He believes the Church must be a builder of bridges, not a builder of walls. 4. Reimagining the priesthood. What does it mean to be a priest in the 21st century? Pope Leo XIV is asking the hard questions. He opened conversations about optional celibacy, especially in regions with priest shortages. He created a task force exploring greater pastoral roles for women. And he's encouraging dioceses to empower trained laypeople for preaching and leadership roles. It's not just about who wears the collar, it's about who carries the mission. 5. Digital discipleship. For Pope Leo XIV, the Church isn't confined to cathedrals. It's wherever the people are. He's pushing dioceses to invest in online ministries. He's launched a Vatican podcast. He encourages parishes to train digital missionaries to share the gospel online. And in a viral moment, he even joined a Zoom prayer circle with Catholic TikTok creators. Narrator lighthearted. Yes. The Pope is on TikTok. And yes. He's winning hearts. 6. The next generation of Catholics. Perhaps the most powerful sign of Pope Leo XIV's impact? Young people are paying attention again. Not just because he's cool, but because he's real. He speaks their language. He addresses their pain. He doesn't dodge difficult questions, he wrestles with them, openly. He often says, "The youth are not the Church of tomorrow. They are the Church of now." And young Catholics are rising. 7. A new theology of presence. More than doctrine. More than tradition. More than all the reforms. Pope Leo XIV is teaching a new theology. The theology of presence. Of showing up. Of being with people where they are. It's a return to the model of Jesus, who walked with fishermen, wept at tombs, and dined with the outcast. And through his presence, the Pope is healing what power alone cannot. 8. Legacy in the making. So who is Pope Leo XIV? He is a man of paradoxes. A scholar who loves silence. A traditionalist who welcomes reform. A spiritual father who walks like a brother. A global figure who chooses humility. Narrator. How will he change the Church? He already is. Not by breaking it, but by breathing life into it. Not by erasing the past, but by lighting the path ahead. And long after his mitre is passed on, long after his name fades from headlines, his legacy will live in the souls he touched, the faith he reawakened, and the Church he dared to renew. Pope Leo XIV, the beginning of a new chapter. If this video gave you hope for the future of the Church, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more inspiring stories about faith and leadership. What do you think Pope Leo's greatest legacy will be? Let us know below.